He wasn't just a talent, he was supposed to change everything. At 19, Jack Wilshere wasn't just England's brightest star, he was its saviour. Arsenal fans believed, England fans prayed, and the football world watched as Wilshere announced himself as the next generational talent. But somewhere along the way, something went catastrophically wrong. Wilshere's talent was undeniable, but what followed was a career marred by injuries, questionable decisions, and a club that failed to protect him. How did one of England's brightest hopes become one of its greatest disappointments? Was he a victim of circumstance, or was his fall self-inflicted? This is the story of Jack Wilshere, the next big thing who never was. To understand Jack Wilshere's fall, you first need to understand just how high his ceiling was. Wilshere wasn't just a talented kid, he was a phenomenon. By the age of 16, he wasn't just impressing Arsenal's academy coaches, he was being compared to the greats. Arsene Wenger called him a once-in-a-generation player. By 18, he was Arsenal's youngest ever league debutant. By 19, he was tearing apart Barcelona, arguably the greatest club team of all time. Wilshere wasn't just good, he was fearless, and for a moment, it seemed like he would define English football for a generation. But what no one realised was that the very game that elevated him was already taking its toll. For all of Wilshere's brilliance on the pitch, his body was breaking down behind the scenes. Stress fractures, ankle injuries, ligament damage. Wilshere spent as much time in recovery rooms as he did on the pitch. Every time he looked ready to fulfill his potential, another injury struck. He missed the entire 2011-12 season, and by the time he returned, the fearlessness that defined him was gone. But was it just bad luck, or were deeper issues at play? Arsenal's medical team faced heavy scrutiny. Fans and pundits alike questioned whether the club's outdated training methods and rushed recoveries were responsible for Wilshere's decline. Was he overplayed, overtrained, or simply not built to handle the demands of elite football? As Wilshere struggled to stay fit, Arsenal was falling apart. The Invincibles were a distant memory, and the club had transitioned from title contenders to perennial underachievers. For Wilshere, this chaos only made things worse. Arsenal's instability became Wilshere's burden. As the club's brightest academy graduate, he was seen as the solution to Arsenal's problems. But the more pressure that was placed on him, the more his body and his confidence gave out. And then there was the issue of mismanagement. Wenger's unwavering faith in Wilshere meant he was often rushed back too soon. The club's reluctance to invest in reinforcements left Wilshere overworked and underprotected. Arsenal's failure to adapt to the modern game became Wilshere's downfall as much as their own. By the time Wilshere left Arsenal in 2018, his career was already in freefall. Moves to Bournemouth and West Ham offered glimmers of hope, but they were short-lived. Injuries, poor form, and whispers of a lack of discipline followed him everywhere he went. Wilshere's lifestyle also came under scrutiny. Rumours of late nights, questionable habits, and a lack of dedication began to overshadow his talent. Was he a victim of circumstance, or did he play a role in his own downfall? The harsh reality was clear. The fearless teenager who once outplayed Barcelona was now fighting to stay relevant in mid-table teams. In 2022, at just 30 years old, Jack Wilshere announced his retirement. For fans, it was a bitter pill to swallow. The boy who was supposed to lead England into a new era had been forced to hang up his boots far too soon. But was it really that simple? Critics argue that Wilshere's story wasn't just about bad luck. It was about wasted potential. A player who had all the talent in the world but couldn't match it with consistency, professionalism, or resilience. Yet even in retirement, Wilshere's passion for the game remains. As a coach in Arsenal's academy, he's passing on his experiences to the next generation, perhaps hoping they can avoid the mistakes he made. Jack Wilshere's story is one of football's great tragedies. He was a player with the talent to define an era, but became a symbol of what happens when potential goes unfulfilled. Was he failed by his club, by his body, or by his own decisions? What if Wilshere had stayed fit? What if Arsenal had protected him better? What if he had taken greater care of himself? These are the questions that will haunt English football forever. But one thing is certain, For a brief moment, Jack Wilshere made us believe, and that's a legacy that, while bittersweet, will never be forgotten.